Hey, I'm Jacob. I've been drawing ever since I was 13 and started tax evading, taking commissions, ever since I was 15 years old. Now, I can't give you professional advice because I'm actually a video editor and not an illustrator, but I can help you get started with commissions to make some extra cash with art like I do for myself, digital art. Stick around to the end for my tips on how to find clients. By the way, I forgot to mention, but this is all under the assumption that you already feel ready to do commissions. If you want a video on how to feel ready to do commissions, like a beginner tutorial on how to draw, then let me know and I will make a tutorial. This time around, the client reached out to me first. This particular client has been a return client for many years already. The first time she commissioned me, we really hit it off, and ever since then, she's been coming back for art whenever she can. It's arguably more important to focus on retaining your current clients than it is improving outreach to get new ones, because that requires actual effort. Meanwhile, lowering churn rate will save you time needing to find clients and makes it so that you can later keep commissions as a side hustle that you don't invest any time in other than actually providing the service itself, like I do for myself. So remember to be nice. Basically what I do is that it's just a side hustle, right? Because I'm a video editor, and then whenever a commission comes up, I do the commission. I don't do any outreach myself anymore because I've built the relations already. She wanted to commission the same character she's already commissioned me before, and this time around she wanted a cool over-the-shoulder pose, so I got to posing because I wanted a specific angle that I had in mind. I had the vision already, right? And sometimes, to save yourself time looking through Pinterest, just take a picture of yourself or film yourself. Even better, doing the pose or action, especially if you want to start practicing making your art more dynamic. Then still shots are weird to pose for, but what's easier to pose for is if you do the action itself. So for example, if you, let's say hypothetically, if you're athletic and can do a backflip and you wanted to draw a character mid backflip because it looks cool, then you should do a backflip and film yourself do a backflip from the angle you want. And then you just pause and screenshot the frame that looks the most like the pose. That's what I did, at least. This helps with getting exactly the pose that you envision and avoids you then ending up distracting yourself by opening Pinterest, looking through Pinterest, and then maybe you, I don't know, because it's you're on autopilot, you open a new tab and you start watching YouTube videos, and then you end up wasting a lot of time. First things first, the sketch. The first sketch I made was a bad and boring angle, so I had to change it. Then I showed her an angle from above and another one from below, and she decided to go with the angle from below, even though it would end up hiding the character's face a little bit, because it was more important to sell the moment of turning over your shoulder and readying up to go sicko mode on some monsters than showing the character's face necessarily. I start by breaking down the pose, which is actually a good practice for studying anatomy as well. They gave us this as an assignment in school many times, where we had pictures of models and we would have to break down the anatomy, and then we would have to draw it again, but this time without tracing over it, and draw the anatomy ourselves. And this would help a lot with learning actually how to simplify, because if your objective is to break it down, then you'd want to break it down in a way that makes sense, not just randomly drawing circles. But yeah, in this case, I use this method to save me time in coming up with the precise anatomy myself. After all, you gotta remember, I'm not practicing here, I'm drawing for someone else. So I gotta set aside my pride and make the best art possible. Hence, I pose for my own poses. I pose for my own art, and then I break down the anatomy of my pose, and then I remove the picture, and then I complete the anatomy. I do this for some of my other drawings as well. I don't fully trace, but I break down the anatomy, and then, continue sketching from there, like I just said. Next is base colors. I have the reference of the old drawing close by. In Procreate, you can have a little reference window and add in any image you want, and that's what I used to have the old commission I did of the same character nearby and on screen every single second while I was drawing this one, so that I could match the colors and the look of the character. Though this time the drip, as in the clothes, were a little different because the client wished it to be so. You'll notice that I didn't clean up my sketch at all and went straight to painting. That's because I have extremely shaky hands, like I've always had shaky hands ever since I was a kid, and that bothered me like crazy while attempting to do line art, right? Because I wanted to do anime, real anime style, cell shaded and everything, and I just couldn't. I could very well have given up, but instead I used my weakness and transformed it into strength. I didn't want to let it define me. I didn't want to give up anime art, so I started painting semi-realism, because cel shading and line art was just not gonna work for me. And ever since the first time I did this, I fell in love with the style, and now it's just the way I draw, so look at that. Also, to avoid ending up with holes in my flats, I opt to use the lasso tool and then fill the spaces instead. I recommend you do this as well, because if you paint them manually, first of all, it'll take longer and you might end up with holes, which looks really weird when you export transparent files, like just the body without the background. It'll look weird. So make sure you have your bases in with the lasso tool and then you fill. That way you know for sure that there are no empty pixels. Having a separate layer for many of the elements is also something I watch out for. Shading. You could tell in the speed paint that I was trying to go from dark to light, but because I made the mistake of not having my base colors be dark enough, I then ended up bouncing between lighter values and darker values, and that kind of, messed with me. I definitely do not recommend doing this. Always work from dark to light. Doing this also synergizes nicely with doing the bigger strokes first and then the smaller ones later. So you work from big to small, because usually there's less light than there is dark. So the lighter the value is, the less it's present in the painting, right? Hence you start from darker values and then you go to lighter values. Number 4, revisions. Because of the nature of drawing for someone else, there are always going to be things you'll have to change, based on their wants and needs, because you're trying to appeal to them. I recommend showing as many work in progresses as you can in the early stages of your drawing, because changing things later takes much more time, and I think you'll know this. A really big revision I had was to change the background mood. This influenced the whole drawing, but in a positive way. It helped convey the moment better than the generic, silly, nice blue sky I often have in the background of my art that I'm used to doing in basically every single one of my drawings. Finishing touches. Finishing touches include color dodge and add layers, duplicating dust particles, and Gaussian blurring the duplicated layer and setting the blend mode to add works really well for giving bloom to your art. So if you've never done that, I recommend trying it. It's quite nice. And then I add a noise layer and then remove the noise from the skin or points of interest. And then I merge everything, and then I add chromatic aberration to make it look more like it was an actual camera taking a picture. And with that, I think we are done. That was fun. I prefer drawing original characters, whether they're my original characters or of other people, more than I do fan art, because it doesn't really speak to me all that much. I used to do more fan art because I was obsessed with getting big on Instagram and growing a following and then making art my career, being an art influencer, but then I give up, and now that's depressing. But yeah, and now I just draw for myself because I'm trying to pursue many other things. Now art has become more of a hobby, which in the past I was so adamant about never letting happen. I was like, no, I'm a professional, this is gonna be my job. But yeah, look at me now. I really do make money with art, just not a lot and not in a very involved manner. Either way, I'm grateful I spent so many years dedicating myself to it, because in the modern world, having artistic skills and an eye for aesthetics and design will save me a lot of money for projects, because I won't need to hire an artist. I'm an artist. And here are the long-awaited tips on how to find clients. I'm gonna give you 3 tips. And these are 3 ways I've found clients. Number 1, and this is the best method for beginners, in my opinion, and what I recommend is the Art Commissions Discord server, the original one. It has a crap ton of members, it's verified, it has a very long verification process, like you gotta do a bunch of stuff. You gotta have a verified portfolio, you gotta make sure you don't have AI and whatever. And this is very good for beginners because you do the outreach. People just post their requests and you do the outreach. Though, of course, you can also promote yourself, but it's more unlikely, especially when you don't really have a portfolio, that people are gonna contact you first. But maybe if you do, people will contact you first. The way I did it is I went to the requests and I did a bunch of the art commissions that were very cheap. Or for example, I went to free art commissions and offered free art commissions. And I did that to build a portfolio first. Then when I had a portfolio of 2 or 3 drawings, then I started taking the requests that were higher paid, and then so on and so on. And I always went for the ones that paid more and more money. Second method is through Instagram DMs and Twitter. If you have a nice active streak where you've been posting consistently, because posting consistently is more important than volume. So for example, if you post 5 things in one day, that's less effective at getting you attention and in the algorithm than just posting those 5 things over 5 weeks consistently. So consistency is more important. And if you have an active streak, where you do 80% fan art and 20% original art, sometimes you'll find people that really like your style and will commission you. Just make sure to have a commission sheet either pinned on your profile or easily accessible through a link in your bio. I personally use Linktree for all of my links and have a Drive link that includes my commission sheet. And remember to make more fan art, because in the beginning you need to get eyes on your work. Once you have eyes on your work, every once in a while you do original art, because you got to think about it like this. Original art is like the call to action in businesses. You want to do as little call to actions as possible, because every time you do a call to action, people will see you as scummy and like a salesperson. You understand? It's a little bit different with art because art is personal, and so I think you can still get away with doing original art and people don't see it as a call to action. But if you do post original art and then remind people that you have commissions, then by all means, yes, it is a call to action. So remember first to do more stuff that the people want to see, the fan art, and then every once in a while, original art. And some people, they will look at your original art and really like your style, and then they'll DM you, right? This is more likely to work on Twitter than Instagram though, just so you're aware. And the third and best method, this is what I did a lot, is through D&D communities. You see, I went to a school with a bunch of nerds, and they did D&D, and so I got into D&D servers. In D&D communities, a lot of making sure you find recurring clients is actually socializing. And this doesn't just apply to D&D communities, it's everywhere in life. Yes, I know, the bane of our existence as introverted loner artist boys and girls, but at some point you're gonna have to do it. Especially if you want a job in the industry, because then you're gonna have to talk to people in real life. I know, crazy. And at least as long as it comes to commissions online, most of it will be through a screen, so worry not. D&D communities are good because the players want to see their fantasy, as in their character, realized, and thus usually have an artist corner for artists to promote themselves, or alternatively, you could play games and introduce yourself that way. People might reach out, you know? I didn't do that because I always wanted to play D&D, but I never got the chance, so I did it through just advertising myself, and then I got lucky to get into the circle. And then they all, through word of mouth, recommended me because I did a good job. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please let me know. This one took a while, and it'd be nice to know if, people even want more art content from me. So yeah, leave a comment, and see you in the next one. Bye.